My duty as a paladin is to prove myself to the gods within 100 days by fighting against a gauntlet of 10 powerful bosses, with the restriction of not using dreadful or demonic dinos. Hey my lovelies, I am your humble ringmaster Crowmeda, and let the show begin. We awaken on a dark and stormy beach in unknown territory with many new threats around every corner, like demonic saber-tooths tearing my body apart right upon arrival. Thank the heavens that we can respawn. This is going to be a very bumpy ride. My first instinct was to run up the hill away from the threats that I could see. I got to preparing the basic survival gear when I was pounced by a very powerful raptor. So the gearing up was redone and got to drinking the Paladin class potion so we can unlock skills when we level up. Some handsome chibis were made to keep me company and came along with me to look for a base location. A Gallimimus corpse was a good source of meat and hide on the go, and can't forget to make a bow for some defenses, but seeing a red sort of ghost-like raptor in the distance that single-handedly took down a Bronto, I'm not so sure this flimsy thing will be of use. A big green monkey stood in our path, but he's actually pretty cool. What's not so cool is seeing aggressive pteranodons, bringing back all of my nightmarish memories from the hunted 100 days all that time ago. I was put in my place shortly after to some giant Gaia ants, followed by a dreadful aloe when I tried to get my stuff back. I did eventually succeed and saw this little land protrusion right here that I wanted to claim. Day 2 started with slaying a demonic Dodo along with some other types like this explodey one. Once the spot seemed safe and just filled with peaceful divine creatures, I prepared a line of spikes as our first line of defense. Hopefully soon this place will have a massive castle to call our home. Foundations were scattered around, beds placed, storage prepped, and meat cooked. Ending this poor turtle was up next, and then time to build a ladder down to the water as I was quite parched, but gravity is quite the formidable foe. Don't you worry though, I did get my stuff back. What surprised me is I had picked up a phone inside with the most mobile of mobile games, introducing the real-time strategy battle royale MMO Hyper Fever, the best FPS city builder that lets you play offline online. Seems too good to be true. I know, that's because it is. This, my lovelies, was a Raid Shadow Legends ad all along, which in my opinion is visually stunning with amazing characters and easy to learn gameplay. Raid is expanding with live arena PvP where you duke it out against other players, picking champions before dueling to rise victorious, for prestige and awesome rewards, like new artifact sets, fragments for a legendary void champion, and special live arena crests that unlock powerful new bonuses at the Great Hall. On top of that, more new champions, Season 8 of the Forge Pass, and Easter-themed events alongside a ton of other things. With all of this new content coming to Raid, it's the perfect time to join. New players, use my link or scan the QR code right here and get a free starter pack with all of this cool in-game loot. Once you're in and crushing your enemies, come find me under the name Crowmeda. So just hit up my link in the description and I'll see you on the battlefield. Day 3 and the stairs were done, as wonky as they are. Trust me, it'll be fine. I was making this mortar and pestle when I heard loud footsteps that had me quite worried. Turns out my downstairs neighbor is, in fact, a huge red giga. That's reassuring. After that, I figured out that Gaia trank arrows exist along with a ton of new modded items, but we'll get to those once we have some of the god terminals. So for now, normal tranks it is. A very angry, dreadful trike was removed from our front door so we could go and explore to our heart's content, up to the point where a huge red Indominus Rex was in the way. I wanted to go up the mountain right behind it for resources. Once I had slayed a wounded divine stego for its soul, I needed to run from a pack of compies that chased me down to this ledge. I had broken bones and was dying of thirst on top of that, but I made it out alive. A little trilobite gave us some handy-dandy resources, and up the ladder we go to be greeted with a demon dodo in our base. This is private property, good sir, but hey, at least it dropped a really good Rex saddle, so it ain't all bad. With a PT saddle in hand, I went to search for one, but this flippin' Equus lured a Rex straight to me, so I needed to skedaddle on home, is what I wanted to do, but a demon terror bird got to me first. And just by luck, one, for some reason, is right in my base, which, even though I died, got lured down to be our giga neighbor's next meal. Here we go, some deity tools equipped on day 4, and I was set on climbing the mountain for metal and crystal. A forest fire in the distance made me pick up the pace, but still staying on my toes, avoiding basilisks. Made a break past a red ghost raptor, but it did catch my scent and hunt me down. Got the bag back and made my way on up to a plateau full of pigs. I stayed crouched behind some rocks and got to gathering. Now with my invo full of ore, I descended and got to knock out a normal PT as well as a divine PT. Both are super low levels, but maybe I could fly the divine one. Also got this double XP potion from a Dodo. It'll be good to go and boost on later. I was worried this aloe would come to munch on the tame, so once one was done, I mounted it and I could not take off as expected. I tried the same on the divine, but I could not even add the normal saddle to it. Apparently you need a divine PT saddle. So I sent them to their deaths as a distraction, but I still perished to a saber. So much for that plan. I got revenge on it and got strange DNA though. Some Genesis eggs and mana. So much to learn, so little time. But for now, let's just smelt this metal. Day 5 and its upgrade time, starting with a full set of Paladin trainee armor and weapons. Now why not unlock the tank roll, so now we can use the ability Cleanse to heal a bit and remove diseases and torpor, and aggro pull, but I've been doing that enough already even without the skill. This armor is rather dull in my opinion though, so I added some new skins for the occasion, so I can cleanse the world in style. The smithy let me make a crossbow, some metal tools got equipped, and time to go on an expedition to, sadly, slay divines for their souls. I wanted to take down this dreadful PT so that I could get the divine souls from the area, but my goodness, I got set ablaze. Thankfully, Cleanse was a godsend. Now if only the PT would get hit by the arrows that I lodged into its body. Once I lost the aggro, because it wasn't dying, I fought the divines, but a large flying abomination came to attack this handsome knight. I tried my best to tank it so I could get the souls, and ended up making a run for it because I was starting to smell like charred crow. Somehow it managed to get itself stuck in the tree, so I took to the offensive, pelting it with arrows until it broke free and fled for its life. We were victorious this day. Heads up, Gaia has its own armor, like this copper helmet, and much more, so I'll be looting a ton on this run. I'd need a Zeus terminal for divine saddles, but to make that, I need a Gaia statue first. And that needs god souls, which are harvested, as you can see here, from different resource gathering methods with deity tools. This went on into day 6, and constantly had to defend myself and my claimed territory from predators. Down, foul demon, down I say! A break to drink ended with a horrible dread iguanodon encounter, but thankfully the items were retrieved just in time to survive a basilisk attack, and I need to find the time to build a line of water up the base. The Gaia statue was made in place, and was just shy of a few Zeus souls to make a terminal for it, so to my surprise, the Divine PT was still very much alive in the area. I'll leave it be. It's training to prove its worth. Most of the day then was used to try and get the elusive Zeus souls, so that on the 7th day, the Zeus terminal was made, within which the Divine PT saddle was crafted. After a little tussle with the demon bird, I was really debating if this was a actual good base spot, since based on everything around me, this is a very hostile land. I mean, just this fight with a bat took forever. Partially because I was wasting trank arrows on it by accident, but we really need a better way to defend ourselves very soon. Or at least it dropped kibble, so that's nice. What is not so nice are these hell-spawned snakes. Okay then, just grab my stuff, and there's a rock drake on my base. Nice. Once slain, I got to the narcotic grind, and even though I don't know if this is pronounced Artemis or Artemis, its terminal will help with that. But I got an alert that alpha creatures have spawned, but I don't know what that is. I'm just scared. In this new terminal, I made a Gaia reusable bola, mediocre trank arrows, and a reusable Gaia parachute. Day 8, and boy do we need a tame. Some shiny eggs were just laying around in the forest, so I took them in, followed by taking out a hurt fallen PT out of its misery. Successfully slaying a mantis and a Daedon, I was feeling quite powerful, and also happy as I looted this special Gaia supply drop for really cool items like a poison spear. Needing a drink, I made my way down to the beach, where my patrons already had set up a whole entire fort. Here we go, a good early tame, a divine trike. It was a bit of a messy attempt to knock out, but it fell to its knees towards the evening. As it was taming, I saw a Maewing in the water, so there is hope, my people, that we get the best transport mount out there. And here we go, it was tamed, and due to its white and blue colors, I named it 99 Defense. Now getting home was a little bit of an issue, since I had no saddle or soul trap, and the big red Indom was quite the deterrent, but once it aggroed onto a Bronto, together we zipped past his vision. Now saddled up, we moved on in, safe and sound inside our territory. I got some steaks cooking again, and hey, if I'm gonna eat, so is my buddy. Since I was waiting on the food to be done, I drank a massive XP potion and set chibis to craft, spending my time reading more into the new engrams and unlocking things like the Anubis shield ability for better defense, and Divine Fire for burning the heretics. Day 10, just farming souls, fighting hordes of enemies, and barely making it out alive. I really need to let our trike heal after that. Once parked at home and let to rest, I went and saw the PT. was still rocking it and saves me again to be an amazing distraction from this attack. So honestly, this guy's carrying my adventure and it's not even with me. More souls were collected, parachute down for a drink, and continue my harvest on countless dodos on the coast, making my way down the beach, tracking a divine RG far, far away. The trek was long and filled with some very fiery explosions, but we made it to our target later on. The RG was being attacked, but with a power play with Ebola, I managed to save the day, only to chase it down and knock it out. I've added some prime and collected souls in the meantime to stay efficient. Once allied to us, I dubbed it Igni, and thanks to a divine RG saddle that I found earlier, we could take to the open skies. Looking for crystal and fending off vile bats with holy fire, I found none across the whole mountain range. On day 12, a new mountain was checked on and had crystals there, so we could finally get to harvesting. After a very infuriating encounter with some oversized kitty cats, I got to go home, make a awesome spyglass, and some soul traps. And let's be real, I need a roof over my head at this point, so I plopped down this blacksmith table, within which I crafted a whole cottage. Physics do not apply here. It do look pretty though, so I took my time moving everything inside, light up the place with standing torches, new beds, and with this medieval smithy, got to make and place this nice forge space. I really do like it. Logging in on day 13 shocked me as I walked out of my front door to a familiar red giga right up here, but it was tamed and called We Are Coming. My patrons are up to something, that's for sure. Back to progressing though, I made the Demeter terminal. I probably am saying all of these wrong, but this one needs a special generator, so I attached it, and that needs a Demeter crystal to run, and to make those we need Demeter eggs that are made in Dodo Invos. Before I set out on this quest though, I tamed a heavenly Lystro named Buddington, who we escorted inside to be all nice and comfy. With the divine Dodo tamed up successfully, I crafted the egg back at home. How that works, I'm as clueless as you are, but that let me make the Demeter crystal and power the darn thing. In there I made some Gaia crop plots that apparently don't need water or fertilizer and stuff, and had a farm made that passively produces resources. It looks super pretty, and already is yielding a profit. And let's keep up the medieval theme going with a medieval composting bin. All this farming had me hunting a heavenly Moschops on day 14 who was named Munchie, who devoured all the nearby bushes. A seed fridge was attached to the Demeter terminal, and I almost forgot to tame a Phiomia for my farm, so off we go. I got to one and there was a small friendly Dodo Rex there. The Dimorphodon started attacking me, giving me Dox-related PTSD, but as I descended back to check on my Phiomia, the Dodo Rex was found to be a big fat liar, as it was nibbling on my piggy. At sunset, I did get to a new one, knocked it out, and tamed it up. We got straight to work back at home. Day 15, seeds were collected, but the crops don't really seem to have much output, so to give it some time, I went to tame a divine doed, but all of the ones that we found were in a very dangerous area, and I just could not pick them up for some reason with Igni, so I went to the next best thing, a divine anky. I'd have to tame it on site, so the arrow pelting began. Slightly messy, with an extra anky just in the mix of things, and some other pesky critters intruding on my hunt, and on top of that, my bola got used up, and I ran out of tranks, requiring me to use a club for the rest of the entire Tortor way. I went a tad overboard at the end there, but it's out cold out here in the cold. 16 started rough as I came from a water break to have to save the poor thing from a dread PT. After that, I thankfully managed to stay alive through the cold thanks to cleanse, but just waited until afternoon when this mean metal machine was ready. Back home, the narcoberry crops were making some progress, which was nice to see. In my excitement, I accidentally made a divine doed saddle, not an anky one, so I had to go collect some metal by hand for now, which still is pretty insane with Gaia tools. There we go. Anky now saddled on day 17 and named Churchill, and time for an extensive crystal run here in the snowy peaks. But I was told that in the center, there are rocks with blue veins that give more, so that's where I'm gonna go. On the path, I got to a red drop that gave me, among many things, a special summon elixir that gives you 1 out of 92 random dinos. This one gave us a frost gorilla. He hella weak, but he's pretty badass. The rocks in question were identified, so the remaining hours all got put into crystal gathering for a full greenhouse, because I wanted a huge stash of narcoberries for taming. Alrighty, day 18, and we have a problem. We ain't got no cementing paste, so we need to find us some beavers, but I did see that there was an engram for you to own a divine beaver dam, so I made it, I placed it, and saw it makes divine pearls, not paste. You know, I would probably save a whole lot of time if I learned how to read. So then, Igni and I took to the sky to find some places to raid some pace, and all the ponds were licked clean, so we would have to try another day. 19 was different. I began the day with preparing a stone gate trap so I could trap this max level heavenly griffin. It was aggroing onto everything, but once I could lure it down in peace, I realized I didn't have nearly enough trank arrows with me. I was too excited and totally forgot. So I had to shake it off and work on narcotics all day and through the night. I attempted to tame this beautiful creature on day 20, and I gotta say, it has a worse attention span than a Yudi, and that says a whole friggin' lot. Once I did manage to get it trapped, I used up all the arrows that I had, but even all that only got his torpor halfway, so I hoped the club strat would be the key to succeeding here, but it was not. Ain't no way that's gonna work, so I had no choice but to sadly leave it behind for now and really figure out tranks for this adventure. 21 and the very much so needed cementing paste was gathered, stocking up to the brim, and another red drop that granted me this cool titanium maul to whack our enemies with. With a soul gun now made and farm space completed, I gathered bushes for seeds only for none to drop, so a iguanodon was needed to be hired against its will. With a bajillion trank arrows prepared, we set out at night. 22 and the iguanodon we wanted was being devoured by swine, so we went to look for another one on the other side of the map, and some trank arrows there were fired, and it went to go catch some Z's and awake as Berry Boy. Since there was an abundance of divine RGs here, in a very pathetic attempt to be honest, I managed to somehow fight off a ton of things while tranking the super weak male, missing a ton of my shots, end up protecting it successfully, and tame it so we have a breeding pair now. Said pair was having lovey-dovey time on day 23. In the meantime, Berry Boy restocked our narco berry seed supply, which were planted immediately. After I made some medieval preserving bin, I found my crops now overflowing with berries, so we had narcotics for days. To round up such a productive day, a fabricator led to a generator, which led to air cons, which helped me hatch the new RG eggs. 24 and I desired a personal brewery, so I placed down a whole new cottage and built around it to make it look like it wasn't floating. A stone water pipeline was set up, and yes, it is a little bit wobbly and all over the place, but to me, it is a piece of art. Once some medieval beer barrels were hooked up to the water, I got to brewing straight away. After which, just spending the remaining hours of the night to fill the cottage with a bit more decor and staircases. A quarter way through and I want some oil, but instead of looking for rocks, I made the Hephaestus terminal, place it down along with its generator next to it, make the Hephaestus egg in the Dodo, and gather some souls so I can make the darn crystal to power the whole contraption. I need a bit more pearls for a good godlike oil rig, so off I go to search for that and grab some really good drops on the way for some really sweet saddles. After which I plucked some pearls from the pond and whipped up some electronics at base, and that let me finish the oil well that produces oil no matter the location, right next to the brewery. A bit of a safety hazard, sure, but it'll just add the flavor of capitalism to my beer, and who doesn't want that? Day 26 is Maewing Day, starting with a trapped 145, KO, and tamed. Quick travel to the next one, which got the exact same treatment. So, just like that, these two snuggle bugs got to breeding. At night I just hatched some eggies and made trank arrows. 27, made some stealth armor that looks pretty good. And with this Gaia dino repellent, I had planned to go tame some divine calicos. But as I tried to fill up my beer glass, it wouldn't work except for the RR beer mug. Oh well, let's see if this does the trick. So with all that, a expedition to the snow commenced. Once our target was spotted, I applied the repellent and this beer don't work. So because it don't work, I just drank it myself on the way back home, where I revamped the entire brewery with normal barrels. Also added a Gaia forge to the smithing area, but it does not smelt the Gaia ores into ingots apparently. That is done in the Hephaestus terminal, and the modern armor, like titanium, is made in the Athena terminal. So I plopped one of those down and got to work to craft some ingots. On day 28, I named one of our bread Maewings Goblin, since it will help us gather as many loot drops as possible. We flew out to look for obsidian and gathered it enough till our invos were full. This helped me get a haircut, for we must slay our enemies with impeccable style. For most of the day though, Goblin and I were feeding our interlude goblins by collecting every single drop we could come across. A special treat because of this was in order on day 29, a special summon elixir that we had gotten from a drop that granted us a Chrono Thyla. which is amazing as Chrono creatures can stun other creatures. Due to its color, I named it Mint, and just let it get leveled in the soul ball as we wait. And thanks to the loot we had gotten, I had some other special items like a tool to get us angler gel and a carcass grinder. Here's the thing though, as much as Gaia has many bosses, it requires a ton of resources to progress, so we moved on to find a divine doed that after many arrows was put to sleep and enlisted under the new name of Glalie. 3-0 and beer was flowing, baby, so it's calico time. The one I wanted almost died to some wolves, but thankfully just managed to survive. I began to feed it passively without much aggro onto me, or maybe a little bit. But after the first feed, it takes forever. I spent all day just looking at it, waiting for it to want another drink of my fine brew. In the early hours of day 31, this holy monkey was down for some shots, so I could finally tame it all the way up. More loot drops were zipped back and forth between to stock on up, and got some ingots along with a titanium chest piece and leggings and many saddles, which will help us very soon. Even got a magic tomahawk for pearl gathering and a virulent RG from a special summon, plus some water tames like a frost lure pleurodon that gives us the luck boost for days.
Feeling lucky. Always, baby.
Next up, the Poseidon terminal, where I made the magic well that can make magic water from divine pearls from our beaver dams.
My brother in Christ, where are you going?
I don't know.
Now, the Gaia mod needs many resources, but also unique ones to be passively produced for the final fights, like rabies in this wolf den with spoiled meat. An Aphrodite terminal was made, in which the bee tree was made and placed down, but it needs rare flowers to create the dread honey that we need. So that made me go look for a divine megashalon to tame, but this would not work as the spyglass says it passively wants honey, but I can prove that in fact it does not. So it would have to be done with the normal method, but we can't do that in this map. On Shigo Islands, there's not the little thingy things that you need to lure to it. So I took out my frustration on a Dodo Amy, I don't know, that pooped out fireworks on its death. That does make me feel a little bit better, to be honest. Since I still had the lucky Buffy, I just grabbed drops all day long to see if it was worth it. And it was looking good, to be honest. Got titanium gauntlets and this questionable love whip for heals and stuns. Hey man, whatever floats your goat. Looting continued into day 33, swapping out titanium pieces to get as tanky as possible, and new summons like a divine manta and a heavenly pleurodon. And would you look at that, titanium leggings. And also, got a time shard used to tame Chrono creatures. I was also farming for divine souls, but got to making the Gaia sky pool, which is basically a mod item grinder, and man, grinding the saddles and spare items got us quite a nice amount of supplies like ingots and souls, so getting saddles from drops is probably the fastest way to obtain souls, it seems. 34 is the day of the gods, as I placed the terminals of Hades, Apollo, Hera, and Hermes, completing all of them. The base was under constant attack though, like today it happened to be a manticore.
Back, spawn of Satan. Back, I say.
I have had almost enough of those after the Docks 100 Days nightmare. Remember the flowers that we need for the tree? It was time that we go to the swamp and gather them with Munchie, and for some reason I fused with only this creature in particular. I don't know why, but my lord, that's flowers for days, which got dumped into the tree straight away. As for the divine pearls, we are going to need so much wood, which led us to knocking out this divine beaver. So everyone, welcome in Palo Santo, who already served us to fend off enemies, which absolutely got smashed. Just look at this well-rounded, saddled divine working crew for everything we could ever need. So the grind for wood commenced, firing up Palo Santo's chompers to fill up the divine dams for divine pearls. And let me tell ya, our front forest got licked. So we would be fine on that front for a little bit, I hope. So up next was stone, so we went ham, smashing and rolling with Glalie. 36 and metal run was done, so that at home, with a XP elixir down the hatch, got to making some castle and cube pieces in hopes to up our defenses and up our level, as I wanted to reach level 100 ASAP for some engrams. An entrance gateway was put together, and I relocated the spikes from inside the base to be outside of the new gate, and got back to the special item farms. In this case, the Poseidon one, which needs connection to water. So this big old clam was just placed at the water intake. In here you can make Poseidon water from holy water that comes from divine pearls. So the RTS gamer and me decided that we would make more of the facilities to produce that specific resource. Apparently you can also craft your own XP elixirs, so with that I saddled Mint and tried to level up as much as possible through combat, and pretty much everything was going well until a divine theory almost tore our ligaments apart. Gonna need some of those later for some fights, but thankfully Chronos at least can heal when eating corpses, so we're relatively safe. 37 was spent trying to level up with large XP boosts and cooking pots, which landed me all the way to level 80, where I learned the skill balance, so when used I can't get knocked back, and learned the power and protection auras that need to be crafted for dino boosts, as well as divine shield elixir for ultimate tanking. But the unlocks continue with a guardian hunter bow with a vast assortment of special arrows like elemental ones, and most important to me, one-shot knockouts. Day 38 and the new addition to our resource production is this anthill that makes ant pheromones from dread honey from our tree. This is all for boss summons later, and I hope you're following along the chain of production here. Up next, I need to farm time shards for chrono tames, as well as to craft the one-shot arrows. And using Mint, it was pretty easy to get done with its roar that stuns, so we were just farming all day long as much as we could, successfully taking down different types, and even saw a Chrono Raptor spawned in, as yes, when you kill savages, a Chrono can spawn in, but we took this one out since it was kinda weak. I saw this new savage to slay, but apparently, exploding Dodos keep an aggro for a very long time. No way, brother. Which weirdly took out the savage and Mint, but I barely managed to live, only to mourn our dead pretty kitty, leaving me stranded in the middle of nowhere, having to get home back on foot. I sneakily made it past some fights and won some that were unavoidable, and made it home to see our lovely base at midnight. 39 and we have beer again, yes sir. So now we need to go head out to tame a male divine calico for breeding. By the way, I noticed that you can get time charts from drops. That's very good to know. Throughout the day, this male was given only the finest mead, so it joined our team with no questions asked. And on the way back, I saw a Chrono aloe, and here's where I realized that Chronos are KO tames, which is crucial information so we don't mess up later. 4-0, long neck maid, and I went to go check on the griffin, but of course, it was no longer there, so I picked up the trap pieces and made my way on over to this level 150 Chrono Thorny Dragon. The perfect tame for what we need, but first, the Morphodons chase me. I've had about enough of these. If you know, you know. Trapping this Chrono was a bit wonky, but worked for the most part. Getting it almost fully asleep, only for it to break out last second, so we chased it down the steep mountainside and landed the knockout. Fed it a time shard, and voila, it is ours. At home I wanted to saddle it, but I had no clay, so I made a cross-map trip to the desert to grab cactus, go all the way back home, only to realize that I forgot to bring sand for the clay, so I had to fly all the way back over there, grab some, and then go home. There we go. Saddled it up and named it Tempo. Testing it out, the spikes apparently deal no considerable damage, which is sad, sure, but it's still pretty strong without it, considering that Chrono creatures have 3 times the vanilla stats, dealing 3 times more damage and have 65% damage reduction, plus the passive healing from corpses, nashed upon enemies, and the special time-blocking stun thingamajiggy. Up next, the Gaia portal was made to see all of the different summonable boss tiers, and there's quite a few of them to be honest, as well as tameable forgotten creatures that we can summon in. Already sensing we would need a holy army, we would need to heal said holy army. Now, this is a normal Daedon, and it'll do. There are some dreaded ones, but I'm trying to keep this run on point here with the theme. Another piggy was hunted down in the snow and tamed so that we could start breeding the bacon. I was told on day 42 that a good way to level up was to step 1, drink XP elixir, step 2, take down Dodo Emmy, step 3, slay the many Rexes that spawn around it on death. It was okay for our tame, but not for us to level up. But considering I had that XP boost and the Explorer Note boost that I got earlier on, I rushed on home to commit the old reliable act to level up, nuking baby dinos. It is for the greater good, my children. That there got us 13 levels, 6 to go to 100. I tried the Dodo Ami strat again for tempo's sake, and grinded more saddles for souls. The Gamba Goblin in me wanted to make some summon elixirs and turn them into my own special summon elixirs, since there are some very special tames you can get from those, so I got to planting Narcos and Mejos and just farmed drops for souls throughout the night. Same for 43, when I peeked into the center volcano and almost met my end, since I couldn't seem to get Goblin to get us to flip out of there, but somehow we waddled our pathetic butts on out of there. After more and more looting and soul grinding, I noticed we had a titanium helm and boots in our invo, so that there is a full set. Water summoned in a Pavlonius Mosa, need to find a use for this big piece of blubber, and surprisingly had to restock the divine dams already as they had gone through all of the wood. At night I couldn't see that well and got snuck up on by this gigantic demonic golem from whom we had to escape.
Uh-oh. Ow. Oh, it's very mad. It is very mad. Recording day 44, and it is a shit show.
44 was weird. Once I got to record, here's what happened. I seemed to have died somehow, and part of my base was destroyed. Looking in the tribe logs, I could see many structures were destroyed, and only a few tames died, thankfully. But it was all due to banished beavers. Apparently, the resource-producing structures spawn aggressive dinos when damaged, so something must have happened here while I was offline. I got to rebuilding the whole forge area, place the dams down by the water this time, rebuild the sky pool, bring the wolf den down, same for the bee tree and ant hill and all that, and also place the new water well. As for my armor, it got damaged and I could not make enough titanium ingots to repair it all. It is what it is. To soothe my sorrows, I made a special summon which spawned in a savage aloe at a okay level. All the chaos at home caused me to kick looting into overdrive to get more souls and titanium for the armor repairs. Once I had my fill on day 45, I got back home. I heard a reaper. Suspiciously and cautiously, I looked around and saw a dreadful one below that managed to eat poor Palo Santo, as I had not realized it had fell down from the mess before. Rest in peace. Moving on. Summoned a cursed RG. Didn't know those existed. Repair some armor with the few ingots that we got. Craft up and place down a Gaia spoiler to keep the wolf den going. Restock item producers, and back to goblin mode. 46 was quite short. Claim all the booty for myself, special summon a decaying Spino that loses health the longer it stays unpotted, and hunted down a heavenly dire bear. Maybe an army of them could pack quite a punch. The KOing was back and forth with bolas and chronostasis, succeeding at the end, and my goodness, look at that melee. Next day, our widow bear needed a boyfriend. So I got to it, and it just had no interest whatsoever as this male cowabunged itself down the cliff into the ocean. We can't have a single 100 days without having a water taming scene, can we? Thankfully, I landed the KO on this tiny little patch of land and got it tamed up, so we got straight to making an army of rabid blue balls of fluff, working on summons and special summons. I got a Delanes, I don't know. Frost Wyvern. That looks pretty tight. To the end of the day, I was scavenging for savages again. Day 48 began with resetting our breeding pairs, and then looking for an explorer note as I wanted an XP nuke again. But searching far and wide, like this volcano and forests, I was coming up completely empty. Even checked my patron's massive base since they built on some ruins, but found nothing. First, much later in the day, I found this little penguin statue that acts as one, so once I got it, I zipped on back on Goblin to arrive back at base, drink a large XP elixir, and pet Buddington, in case that helps, and nuke the ever-living hoot out of these babes, granting me 8 levels. Now, here is where the good stuff happens. I learned the Paladin sword and shield engram, along with the powerful Aether Guardian armor, max elixir for maxing out our tame levels, the DNA slicer to make some dinos, and the glorious Tree of Life, but we still have quite a way to go for that. An extra wolf den was made, and down the line I'd be making multiple of these since I really needed to ramp up this slow passive production. Such a productive day, and what better way to end it than just making barbecue in my own personal bar. To make those max elixirs, we need to make mind wipe tonics, so with tempo I hunted some prime meat and set it to cook, and got to restocking our crops for stimberry production and get everything else going on overdrive, so I could finally make one tonic that led to one max elixir that I gave to the Frost Gorilla. As you can see, it maxes it out as high as it can possibly be based on its level, I think. Since we're going to use him, I named him Danky Kang. 50, we are halfway there, and it's time to try to beat our first Guardian. Once I had another max elixir, I gave it to the Savage Aloe and named it Rabies, and did the same for the Decaying Spino that was aptly named Blasphemy. The piggies got to healing up this ragtag crew that I whipped together, and also I prepared one heavenly bear with a good saddle to join us. After scouting the land for a guardian stego that was easily accessible, I brought out this wacky bunch and began the charge.
Alright, my batch of misfits. It is time. Let's do this. Go get him. No, Danky Kang! No, Blasphemy's also dead. Oh boy. And, okay, there goes the bear. And there goes Rabies too. Okay, let me just try this. Oh no, I won't be able to do this. No, not with just tempo. Please, I don't want to lose tempo. Let me escape. Let me escape, please. I really don't want to lose tempo. No! Okay, this is bad. This is bad. I think he de-aggroed. Oh crap, here comes the other dude. Please, no. Ah, you have to be kidding me. You stupid demonic Sarko.
I think we almost had it. It was like under half health. So as sad as it is to have lost so many amazing soldiers, we now know what power we are roughly up against. So you know, we are going to make a awesome army. All the breeders were reset to either equal pairs or with mutations on day 51. Plus, I got to test the Divine Calico for the first time. The melee damage is really good considering it also burns and slows the target, and the rock toss is also fantastic, but to be honest, I thought Calicos threw poop. I got these Divine Calicos only to make a holy shit joke, but I guess that's down the drain. I'll see myself out. But I was shooketh seeing the damage on the Heavenly Dire Bear. It is insane and runs so fast you think it was the Coke Bear. All that, and it is still adorable. 52 and I needed a new beaver. The best one I could find was really not great at all, but man, the process was filled with problems, like more beavers, piranhas, and a darn dreadful metagammer that seemed to be obsessed with ya boy. Once I could catch my breath, I got some kibble from back at base, so I finished up the tame ASAP and got straight to work gathering wood. And that led into day 53. I came to realize though that the amount of wood we would need for the Divine Pearls for sure had an effect on global warming, since this went on through the entire day non-stop. 54 was flower day with Munchie plus some pace runs, and a prime meat harvesting session, which doubled for hide for saddle crafting, as well as to get saddles to grind for souls to make our own specified saddles, finishing the day with some dreadful bat takedowns for kibble. Since on day 55, I set out to tame a max level Heavenly Rhino. The hunt was going well, until we got closer to completion, as this dreadful raptor just would not leave us alone, and ended up aggroing onto the Rhino, which got stuck. A quick bola to its shins and some head bashing saved the day. Some more pesky critters needed to be dealt with so that in peace we could send this big mama to see the Sandman and wake up refreshed and friendly. Not great stats, but it'll do, I hope. As for a male to breed them, this was a tad simpler, but almost lost goblin in the process. It tamed with, it's okay stats, I guess. And just like that, Heavenly Rhino babies were being made back at home. Day 56, and I hate to say it, but we need Uties. We got close to one, but this Frost Wyvern applied some kind of insane slow on Goblin. We only barely escaped out one. And since we retreated, I took the time to get some more bolas from base and returned to the Feathered Fiend and began the always joyful and flawless process of domesticating Scream Chickens.
Don't you dare fall down into the water. Don't you even think about it. Oh, seriously, who could have anticipated that? Huh? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Who anticipated this? You doing a little dancey dance there, huh? Come back here, you. Nope, you have to go the other way. He's standing? Oh, I can't bola him right now. Please, 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 please knock out, please.
just barely managed to land that KO, but once it plopped to the ground, I waited through the blizzard for it to be tamed. Making it home at sundown, I tended to the bear mutations. Day 57 started with a healthy dose of soul grinding in the sky pool, followed by making a aura sickle, with which we, you guessed it, gathered aura from plants. We need this stuff and its spoiled byproduct to make special mushrooms in it. With the rhinos reset for equal stats and adding more mutations to everyone, some bats were mercilessly belly flopped by Goblin to get us more kibble, as I'm not done taming. Ain't much to say though about 58, to be honest, just tearing down trees to get to 99 woodcutting. I'm just kidding, obviously, it's for more divine pearls. 59 was Beauty Day again. This one was a little bit of a doozy, big surprise. Aside from Argies and a basilisk being on it, it fell, as expected, into the water. Same for the basilisk, which I removed from the picture. But you see, after so many water tames in all of my 100 days videos, I've gotten used to it, corralling it to the ledge and landing the final arrow on time as it stands on solid ground so it does not register that it is drowning.
We have tamed a single foot in the mountain.
And there you go. All set, no time to waste. Gotta let these rascals get my best stat imprinted buff machine. Remember the aura that we got? Well, now I could make 2 aura crop plots and 2 aura mushroom seeds. Place them down in the greenhouse and let them do their thing, becoming really trippy mushrooms that gave us plenty for endgame material. As for summons that I had collected up until this point, the water tames were a green Loropleurodon and then a cursed one. The luck buff making me feel all cute and pretty. The last one was a dupe of the cursed. As for the 2 special summons that I had, they got us a electric compy, I had no idea that that even existed, and a virulent Chrono. Thanks to all the souls we have been getting from grinding loot, some heavenly direbear, divine calico, and heavenly rhino saddles could be made, but only very few. To keep going, a hide run needed to be completed through the dark night. 61 was mind wipe day for max elixirs, and I noticed the virulent RG deals quite good torpor. This information would have been good before, but it still will help me get some more tames.
Hey, Chaotic,
Yes.
give me a name for my main heavenly direbear. It is blue and white.
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, come on. You gotta be more creative than that. It's a female.
Nope. All right. It's got to be Winnie the Heavenly Pooh.
Winnie the holy shit.
Winnie the Holy Shit.
I am so disappointed in both of you right now.
I got to give Nat credit. Winnie the Holy Shit. I love it. I love it. So just call him Holy Pooh.
Okay, Holy Pooh. Winnie the Holy Pooh. I hate you guys so much.
I was just going off Chaotic's suggestion.
It's great. I love it.
As for the green RG, I dubbed it Nat Meta, like Nat and my tribe in the old Archive SMP adventure. Divine Theories were the one type of soldier that I still wanted, and boy oh boy, the RGKO strat must be the most annoying way for anyone to go to sleep. Sadly, I got a little bit too excited and hit it once too many, so we need to wait for it to wake up again for taming effectiveness reasons. At least this female tame went rather smoothly, completing at day's end. Day 62, and I thought to myself a savage spree would be good, as I really badly want a Chrono Rex to spawn and tame. We searched far and wide, decimating our foes, and almost lost to a Reaper. It has some insane armor, feels like.
Oh, you wanna go? You wanna go? Take that.
Finally, around midday, with one more savage 6 feet under, a Chrono Rex spawned. Not too high level, but also not too bad, it'll do. So with that meta, the torpor process began, doing the best to get chronokinesis mid-air out of the Rex's jaw range. Once this big blue boy was in a safe zone, the final peck to its noggin was dealt as it plummeted to the ground, and arose as our new main mount for our battles. At home, excited as can be, I named it Julius Novachrono, and out of the 3 max elixirs I now had, one of them went straight to it. And to my surprise, a Ascended Dreadful Rex saddle works on it. I thought Chronos only used vanilla ones, but okay, I'm not complaining. Time to retry the male Divine Theory on day 63, which went very well, and upon its tame, just look at that great melee and health. I think it's great, in my opinion. So the babies here should come out very strong. And we can't forget about the bear mutation stacking quickly and becoming colorful in the process. For the remaining hours, I slaved away at cutting down the whole forest. 64, and I wanted to gather flint, but I can't find my Anky anymore, and the tribe log doesn't say that it died, so based off of that conclusion, I must have nuked it with some of the babies. Whoopsie. So I, had to just do it by hand to make some more spark powder, for stims, for mind wipes, for elixirs. But of course, we were not yet done with woodcutting for days on end. 65 and a sap tap was added to this big old tree, and then went to look for black pearls, as I wanted to get to make absorbent substrate for guardian armor. But the ocean floors seems to only have normal pearls, so I was thinking and doing some stuff like a little metal run, and ended up crafting a Mosa saddle, as we did have this Pavlonius one from before from the summon, which I now named Cherry. Together we swam around to munch on some tusos, even though I had no scuba, so it was done with a little hit and run tactics, landing the kill in the dark murky water at night. 66 had me a tad frustrated, as most of our item producing structures were gone. Not sure how, either exploding dodos or more banished creatures, but oh well. We already have from those pretty much all we need. Cement was hauled on over by the truckload, followed with a little bit of a poly gathering session from the cute little pingus. And I'm happy to say that I finally learned how to make coal, which was one of my bottlenecks to make more titanium. Apparently it's very simple, so I just got straight to getting some more of that done and making heavenly dire bear saddles. To make magnesium, however, you need angler gel, so that was taken care of with cherry. The day after, the chem bench was placed, and with sap now collected, could make a good batch of substrate, but was needing a little bit more black pearl, so I bullied the trilobites, but they wouldn't give any of it up. So I was just laser focusing and zipping and zapping all over the place to look for some more and trying to save on time, and I just wasn't paying enough attention to my surroundings.
No, no, what? That can't happen. No, you have to be joking. Faded in front of my eyes, man.
Rest in peace, Goblin. We will carry on your legacy. Cherry and I had to press on, fighting the strong tuso in the water, and just as the kill was in our grasp, things started to take a turn for the worse.
Uh-oh. No. I can't see anything. My screen is black. I'm heal pulsing myself. This is the end of me right here. I'm out of stamina. I can heal myself with cleanse, but I am stuck. All I can do is try and tank the damage right now. I see the moon. We're making it up. Push me. Push me. Come on. We got this. Oh, I'm alive and I'm at the surface. I'm saving my shield for that exploding dodo. It's about to aggro onto me. There it is. Come here, big boy. Boom. That's right.
As fast as I could, I rushed back home to prepare a divine manta saddle and got the one that we had from a summon. Together we geared up near Cherry's watery grave to collect the loot, as the tuso had also died at that moment. And as tense as I was, I had to mess around a little bit with the manta, just a little bit. I find them very fun. But yes, back to business. We got to the big old body and pried the prize out of its body, splishy splashing our way back home to finish the substrate that we needed. With more and more ingots now going, I decided to actually not repair my titanium, since I was going to need a lot of that for later, and just return to the Paladin trainee armor. As you can see, we need to take down this Fury right here a few times in order to upgrade this armor set. With one final baby nuke done, I got to level 105 and unlocked the normal Paladin set as well as the upgraded version. 69, and it was just another resource grind day for flint and wood, but the highlight was that now equal UDs were breeding. 70, the day we prepare for our crusade against the Guardians. A max elixir went to the UD, named the commander, saddled up a Daedon and named it Bambalam, who was also maxed out. 10 of each of our holy species was saddled to have a strong and manageable army. The commander took its sweet time to heal up, but once ready, we also maxed out Nat Meta, because why not, I guess, and flew out in search for a battle. As we arrived at our destination, we prepared the soldiers, and as the sun rose on a brand new day, we were ready as ever.
My children, it is time. It is time to continue our holy crusade.
Yay, Daddy, yay.
I can't do it knowing you guys can hear my speech. I need to mute myself.
No, don't cry. It's fine.
My children, it is time. On this day, we will continue our holy crusade and vanquish our enemies. Let me just encourage you, roar you guys up. There we go. And with God as our witness, I banish you to the Shadow Realm, Jumbo. Go get him! Charge! Go, everybody, go! Guardian Mantis has been defeated! Shut the f up, guys! Holy f.
With that victory sealed, we prowled the lands and searched for any other guardians that we could beat up to get their special body parts for Guardian Element and the rare Void Essence drop. Trekking through the mountains proved rather difficult, but once we got to the other side, a Guardian Dragon was waiting for us. This was a challenge that I, apparently, was not yet ready to face, as it does not land a single time and constantly breathes fire on the army. I think we barely even managed to scratch the darn thing, and bringing out Julius just also was extremely ineffective, as it seems to be immune to the Chrono stun. It was an uphill battle as I tried to space my troops out somewhat vertically to maybe get some hits in, but eventually it just flew off as it lost interest, leaving most of my army alive thankfully, but severely bloodied. So now on day 72, I collected the saddles from our few fallen comrades, rest in pieces my people, and returned to home base and got the RGs breeding. This whole ordeal was something I didn't really think could happen, that it just doesn't land, and we really need the dragon's body parts, so I just fired up the old wood chipper and got to restocking the dams as I was cooking up a plan. 73 was kind of a blur since all day all I did was just focus on taking down the guardians that were within my capabilities, ending the day with all guardian types being killed, excluding the dragon and the dodo. Day 74, and I was feeling it was time to upgrade to a better paladin armor set, so it's time to bring the army out and to fight Fury, which went quite swimmingly, just wiping the floor with him. We were pushing him back and forth through the redwoods like a rag doll until it proceeded to just, yeet itself and peace out to the afterlife. Thing is though, we didn't get the holy metal that we needed, but we did get a Pharaoh Wyvern Summoner. Before I tested that out though, I did make a little trip to fight Jagrin in the desert, and after taking it also on a stroll through the sands, with some losses, sure, we were victorious and did get 3 holy metal, a step in the right direction. With our haul dropped off at home, the Pharaoh Wyvern was summoned in, and it's just gorgeous. I think we can all agree on that. I had to name it Scarab, and it's pretty insanely leveled too. 3/4 in, and still so much left to do. Starting with mushroom gathering to make the mind wipes and the max elixirs, and max out Scarab, who is, it's alright. I'm a bit underwhelmed by it, but it's still pretty. With a special virulent gorilla summoned in and under our belt, it was time to bully Jagrin some more for all the ingots that we needed. And it's just funny to see a horde of Caligos tossing rocks. They truly are the artillery of ARK, but I can't help but think that they're killing their own in the crossfire. That's my boys, alright. I'm still proud of them. With 5 holy metal secured, an entire set of paladin gear was made, providing heaps of armor and durability. 76, special summon a Savage RG. I'm disappointed, and it's time to let you in on what I actually want out of these summons. A crystal doed that lets me farm void essence to lessen the future grind. As for Jagrin though, not just 1 more kill was done, but 2, allowing for a full upgraded paladin set to be made, feeling quite durable indeed. For the night, much more coal was set to be made for the ingots since the grind has only just begun. 7-7, time to face the guardian dragon once more. With 20 saddle divine RGs buffed with the UD courage, we surely had a chance. One of the drawbacks is that 1, the RGs are much slower than the dragon, plus there is no sky border on this map, so I needed to always whistle them down so, they don't just auto get yeeted and deleted off the face of the earth. As the fight progressed, I had gotten its aggro onto Scarab and ran out of stam, prompting me to land in front of 2 high-level allos. With Scarab sadly, returning to whence it came, I was left alone to tank the allos as the RGs started to be picked off one after another. At the end of the skirmish, I was left with only 3 RGs to my name and nothing to show for it. Beaten and bruised, I returned to do the one thing that I knew how to do, which was getting wood, but it had me cooking up a plan on how to trap the darn beast. With work on the pieces completed on day 78, I returned to the same battlefield from earlier and set up large gates with a roof and some spikes. With an army right next to it, we surely had this in the bag. Luring the flying lizard in, though, proved to be quite difficult, as it seems to have no attention span whatsoever and is rather quick, so I had to rely on Natmeta, who's quite the speedster. After damage was dealt to us, we just barely managed to successfully cage our opponent. As for damaging it, this is where things get a little bit complicated. We couldn't really reach it, so we just had to nibble on its tail, which was effectively just tickling it, and it heals the occasional damage at light speed, so I don't really know what to do right now. Kinda stumped here, so I packed up the army and went home to whip up a new plan. However, this might do the trick, the Gaia grounding shock dart. All I could want in this situation, so a batch was made, and we returned to our imprisoned dragon, who luckily had not broken free yet. And since it was not aggroed onto me anymore, it gave me the opportunity to fill the prison floor to the brim with fairies to tear it apart as it lands. Here's the kicker though, and by kicker I mean a kick to my hope. The dart doesn't work. This needs to be in the fine print somewhere, or disclaimer, I want a refund right now. But not all was lost, as I just jumped onto one of our boys and mowed down its tail from the inside, tanking the occasional damage with some health potions. It didn't even take long at all. It's just kind of annoying to get to.
Rain beats brawn every single time, baby. Let's flip and go. I am indeed the king of cheese.
With the body parts finally obtained, I rushed to the Hermes Shrine to craft the first guardian element needed for a lot of the endgame things. The crafting takes forever, so I had more than enough time to just do a little metal run, and also to special summon in a new, stronger, virulent RG. As for the guardian element though, we need like 80 or so to do everything that I want to do, and what shot my dreams down was seeing that each craft only yields one guardian element. That means there is so much grinding to do. It is insane. Day 80 was the day that I would attempt to beat the guardian Dodo, a beefy bird that spawns all other guardians when provoked, but yields a large amount of guardian body parts upon defeat. And the fact that bubble shielding this explosive Dodo next to it doesn't even cause a dent is proof to its power. I luckily noticed there were two here and didn't need that amount of chaos, so searching for a single one, I came across another massive patron base that always beat my modded servers in the blink of an eye, so I would not fight the one that's right here. Finally, an accessible target was spotted and the Calico army was brought out. With the commander's courage empowering the sloths, we charged straight into the massive guardians, losing many boys very quickly, even almost lost the Yugi since I got stuck there for a second. After a strategic retreat and de-aggroing the bird, I reclaimed some of the saddles and saw the Dodo could not have given less of a and none of the spawned dinos give drops, so that's a wiped army for nothing. So the next strat would be to do it with bears and to prepare another Daedon. So on day 81, with Claw and Floof, we tore the Dodo apart with relative ease, to be honest. The bears are just much better than the Calicos for sure.
Oh, we did it! Oh, let's go, boys! Okay, so we got the dragon teeth and scales, and we got gerbo intestines, vertebrae. We got all pieces, 6 of them. So actually killing dodos like this is the most efficient way to farm.
Pressing on to the next fight, we paraded our army's strength across the fields and forests until I got them stuck in a hole. Well, not as epic as I wanted to be, but you know, pot them up and go fight another one, getting the win there too. But by now, the bears had taken quite a beating and needed some healing. So at night, I took some time to set Guardian Element to craft. 82 and 2 special summons. Got double Thylid, one being a Chrono and one decaying, but still no flippin' crystal doed. Wood was stocked up like many times before, during which I read that the Aether Guardian drops all body parts and a hefty amount of Void Essence and a chance to get a crystal doed. So the crusade got redirected to normal Guardian since the kills are much faster, meaning more chances for the Aether one to spawn in. And Julius here is being quite effective with the takedowns. The day came to an end with no luck on that front, and a Chrono Carno summon. We are bound to get lucky at some point though with this strategy. Day 83, not much to say other than grinding the Guardians all day long. And the same goes for 84, adding wood grind to the mix, and after some Guardian Dodo kills, the army is getting weaker and weaker by the day. In 85, the highlight amongst the grind was another routine Guardian Dodo fight, though here things went south very quickly. I took my eyes off of the fight for like a second to get a new squad in, when sadly, Julius met its end. I tried to get him out of there, but he was just unresponsive and passed away. Moving on with our mission though, more dodos were vanquished, leading to the long-awaited fight against the Aether Guardian on day 86. And the bears just melted its ass. Just look at that health bar drop. It is a beautiful sight to behold. The bears were bloody to say the least, but it was worth it for these parts and that juicy Void Essence. But I didn't see a crystal dino spawn in anywhere, and it should spawn at least one of multiple options, so I just kept grinding dodos in the vicinity. But thanks to the dino tracker, I did see that a crystal doed did in fact spawn. The thing we've been trying to get for almost the entire run. However, it was glitched into the mountain, and full disclosure, it's not supposed to be in that rock, for it is not a cave, and it is an extremely rare and important dino to have to farm Void Essence. And since I did get it to spawn legitly, for this sole scenario, due to the circumstance, I did allow myself to mesh into the rock and do the tame as intended by knocking it out and feeding it Mejo Berries. But there you go. On day 87, the crystal doed is ours, and we got straight to farming stones. We get the occasional DNA, but also the void essence in batches of 12. It is a little bit rare, but still much faster than fighting guardians, so with our little gathering crew, we got to work to stock up as much as we could, which dragged into 88, where I also made many more dams to speed up the process and settled all the gathering needed once and for all. Feels like Gaia mod is just a woodcutting simulator. And here we are on day 89, lovelies, and let me tell you, there is not a whole lot to say of what happened between 89 and 96, since all I did was just beat up guardians due to how much is needed to summon in the final bosses. The highlights of these days, I guess, was that on day 90, I did get a very new strong Chrono Rex from a special summon, Julius II, if you will. And on day 92, the commander got fully stuck this time in some guardians, preventing it from escaping, leading to its death, requiring a new one to be prepared later on. So now on day 97, I was pretty much set to fight, and I brought out a ton of heavenly dire bears and named them after all of my lovely patrons as a thank you for the ongoing support each month. Sadly, I can't saddle all of them due to how much resources it would cost. At sunset, a portal was placed at the nearby beach in case things went south. I could then skedaddle on home if needed. 98, and it is time to begin the boss gauntlet to see how far we can get. And to be honest with you, I have no idea how this is going to go, considering our tame restrictions, as most people that I've seen that beat this mod did it with like OP Dreadful Rexes, Indoms, and Gigas, which we, quite frankly, do not have access to. With the bears prepared, I brought in our first of the lesser bosses, the Furious Monkey. Once it came in, our bears did pretty well, I gotta say, only losing maybe a total of like 5, so the win was secured easily. But upon victory, it exploded, ending me off of my Yudi. Rushing back, I was happy to see though that the bears were still alive, and got Gaia leaves from the kill. Up next, the infected Dodo, which also was melted. Things are looking good, and I did not forget to channel my inner Master Chief and bubble shield up as the Dodo exploded, keeping me alive. With the patron bears severely weakened now, I needed to let them heal and bring out a horde of divine fairies for the final of the lesser bosses, the awful bat. It ducked in and out of the claw-filled ball of holy fire, and slowly we managed to bring its health down to 0, with only minor casualties, completing the lesser bracket. 99, medium bracket time. With heavenly rhinos at the ready, the fearful Yudi was brought in, and I gotta say this is a big step up from the lesser bosses. It was a bloodbath, and its fear roars just made it all the more difficult. With a back and forth bringing out small packs of rhinos to keep up the pressure, we just barely secured the win against this opponent. A very close call. Up next with Divine Theories, the Forsaken Dodo Rex, and nothing could have prepared me for the ginormous red screen that I got just barely into the fight, having barely even scratched its over 1 million health pool. I needed reinforcements, stat. So a trip home was done and returned to the battlefield, bringing in wave after wave after wave of melee leveled, couraged bears. But I just could not break through. No matter the angle I sent them in, it was just not enough, as the little damage that I did deal before they got one shot healed up in an instant. This one, sadly, is a bust. No way I can beat it, and I need to reserve my remaining army for the other bosses. So out of 5 bosses so far, 1 could not be bested. Day 100, my people, kicking it off with the Poisonous Lizard, and this just goes so much better than the one before. Just melting its scales off. Honestly, it felt like one of the lesser bosses, so I'm not really sure how the scaling is done on these. But yeah, easy win right there. Last up from the medium bosses is the Rotten Dragon, and with several platoons of dinos at the ready, we brought it in. And whoop-de-doo, this hot Cheeto-ass looking dude does not land ever. Same complaint I have from the Guardian Dragon. It does one-shot everything, and I could live with that, but you know, at this point, it just went on a rampage, one-shotting all of my dinos, and I couldn't really do anything about it. Even RGs that were speed level just couldn't keep up with it, so due to me not being able to even hit the darn thing in any way, this one is a bust. So far, out of 7, we have 5 wins and 2 losses. Now, it is time for the hard bracket, and out of the 3, we begin with Kardraz the Fearless, which I think is the main boss of the mod, since I can only see up to its dossier on the mod website, and this is the only one with an actual, countdown timer. This Giga appears before us and changes the weather with its dreadful appearance, also summoning in some of the lesser bosses. That to me is a true sign that it is the main boss. The remaining soldiers were doing very well, honestly, considering its health pool is absolutely redonkulous, but more reinforcements were needed to be deployed. With bears going in one after another, I felt like we could be getting a close win here. There was still hope, as we already got to half health. The light at the end of this bloody tunnel was that a batch of bears managed to get under the beast, hindering its DPS and its spawning mechanics. So I just stood there without moving a muscle to maybe, not ruin the positioning of things. But there you have it. The big kahuna was slain. Time for the final two bosses that I say don't really fit the theme, unless someone can argue that this giant bionic broodmother fits this whole, god shtick we got going on. And this was fairly easy. It had this one questionable white explosion attack and lasers coming from the skies, and even with like 11 million health, the remaining patron bears almost soloed it. First, at the end, we had to throw in some theories into the mix to squash this robo bug. And lastly, the very much so Greek mythos accurate Siren Head was summoned. Same model from the Cybermancer video I did, oddly enough, so we've met him before. Slowly but surely, we whittled its health down, but these massive meteor sessions are terrifying, able to wipe out all dinos that get hit by that final nuke. But fearlessly, we push through the night. Do you see, gods of Olympus? Do you need more proof than this? Also, big heads up, I learned the hard way that the meteors can in fact kill me off of the Yudi. However, thanks to that it loses aggro very quickly, we just got straight back into the fray.
Oh, they did not make it out of that. Oh boy.
To my dismay, the sun began to rise on day 101, signaling that this boss was not taken down within 100 days. But since it was at its last 1 million health left, we kept going to get revenge for the fallen. Victory upon Siren Head was achieved. That was an incredibly long fight. So out of the 10 bosses, we had 2 losses and 8 victories, although the Siren Head victory was not completed within the given time frame. So I pass the question off to you, my lovelies. Would the gods have approved of my efforts with this restricted challenge, or reject yours truly? Leave a comment down below to let me know. And thank you so very much for watching, and I'll be seeing you very soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.